The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hi traders, welcome to the live webinar with Admiral Markets. My name is Chris. Today's focus is going to be a great topic, price action, candlesticks. I think everyone, at least a little bit, is a fan. Some are not, I guess, but pretty good numbers, I think, that actually use candlestick patterns, price action for their trading, and justly so, I think, very useful. Definitely not the only way of looking at charts. Of course, we have bar charts, we have line charts, we have range bars, Heikin-Ashi candles, and many of them have their own value and information that is useful. But today, nonetheless, we're going to be focusing on Japanese candlesticks and trying to read the price action for better decisions. So before we dive in today and look at the live market, be aware of these two disclaimers. First of all, the first one explains the fact that this webinar is shown to a global audience, but may not be suitable for everyone necessarily. Please visit admiralmarketsglobal.com, select your country of residence, and contact an appropriate entity for more information if it is suitable for you. Also, second of all, please note that trading for exchange and global financial markets is considered higher risk. Please seek the advice of an independent financial advisor for more information on that. This webinar is for informational and educational purposes only. By continuing watching this webinar, you agree with this disclaimer and you are aware of the risk involved when trading. All right, before we take a look at the live charts, just bear with me for if you have a minute to look at the Admiral Markets website, because a lot of goodies here available. As you can see, expert trading tips every day. That, by the way, is in the morning around 10 a.m. GMT time. You'll be able to look at those. And the webinars are short, 15 to 20 minutes, and you'll get some trading ideas just based on that. So I think that could be already very interesting for you. But of course, there's more to discover with Admiral Markets website, analytics, education at the top, webinars, analysis, articles, courses are just but a few things that might be interesting for you. And of course, how to trade, what kind of instruments, not only the euro dollar, but gold, DAX, and also CFDs, by the way. So just to name a few there. All right. So one thing I want to take a look at with you is quickly is the market heat map. I think that's always interesting. There was quite some volatility, and I'm kind of curious how that shaped out with regard to the pairs. So let's take a look at that. All right, so let me scroll a little bit lower. All right, so at the top you see some of the bigger movers. And here the red indicating obviously some of the losses. Now, of course, as you might have heard in the news, probably is that the stock index, not only in the U.S. but other markets, had been receiving quite some downside, and there was quite a correction, right? I think even 5%. Here it shows Dow Jones 5.5. So that's a pretty hefty correction in one day. It doesn't surprise me. Maybe it did for you, maybe not. Depends how much, I guess, you were visiting our webinars. We knew that the trend was up. Obviously, the trend was up, but we also know that these things that the trends cannot last forever, and that the correction was kind of not that strange that it would eventually happen. The question, the difficulty is always timing. And then once it happens, it often is pretty quick. So you got slow upside, slow continuous grind of the uptrend, and then all of a sudden, boom, huge correction, and kind of went fast. And that's always so difficult, specifically with the stock market, to time that bearish correction. Always very difficult. We'll take a look at the charts in just a second. Wanted to take a quick look at these currency pairs. You can see the volatility big because look, 2.5% here rather than 1%. So big movements on the currency pairs, as you can see. Let's take a look at the range. Hang on. Range also pretty big. Yen being the biggest, pound being the second, the pound being high does not surprise me. Euro third, Aussie fourth. All right, but I'm surprised a bit by the yen. Although pound and euro yen did move a lot. Anyhow, let's take a look at the charts. I myself traded the pound New Zealand, then I traded, I think it was the pound dollar, if I remember correctly. Let me take a quick look. Yes, he had a pound dollar short. I was in the pound New Zealand short. Yeah, those were our trades with regard to the pound weakness. Were our primary trades of the last yesterday. And then it had some other trades, but let's say the last day. Then it had a euro yen short as well. He traded and dollar yen long. All right, so those are a couple of our trades from the last couple of hours or days. So anyhow, let's start with the euro. Well, let's start with the pound dollar because quite some pound weakness indeed occurring. And this pound weakness is going a bit further than I expected. Pound dollar specifically, I should say. I was obviously bearish on pound New Zealand. I expected price to bounce at 139. So that was the 50 fib. Price made a bearish rejection at 140, which is not so strange, right? After price broke through 140. Let's put a purple level at 140 right here. No, that's not 140, sorry. I guess 140 is here. There we go. So price broke through it, hooked back to it, and fell. So I'm not surprised that 140 became a barrier. I'm a little bit surprised that price broke through the 50 fib with that much power. I did still think the 50 fib would hold. I don't necessarily think the uptrend is over as yet. This could still be an ABC. This is something we talked about, I think, in last week's webinar, that this could be a wave B, and price indeed breaking through this support, and we're getting a pretty long wave C, potential wave C. But as I said, it depends on how price responds to the 50 fib. It broke through the 50 fib. I still think that the S2 61.8 fibs probably are levels to think about too. If we get a bear flag here on the hourly chart like this, then a continuation lower, I think, is looking good. I think pretty likely. If price, however, closes and reverses, flies up, breaks this top by a little, makes an ABC, yes, in that case, more upside is likely. So I think it's a zone where price might still reverse to the upside, despite all the bearishness that we've seen. And I know that for some, might seem strange. But the pound can actually very quickly reverse in sentiment. If you look at the pound, it's not so strange. It can do that. It can be quite dramatic sometimes in its volatility switch. I'm not saying that it will happen here necessarily. I'm just saying that it could happen. Anyone who is very, let's say, focused on either up or down, I don't have that at the moment. I think it really could go either way. I'm just waiting for price to give me more info, either by going and making a flag, a bear flag like this. I think continuation lower is likely, down to the 78.6 fib and the S3 here. Or if price challenging like this with good momentum and then starts to kind of slowly correct down, then maybe a continuation higher up to the weekly pivot point, break above the S1 up to the weekly pivot point, maybe even up to the R1 is becoming more likely. So it's an interesting spot. I just need more info from my point of view before trading it. That's my main kind of view at this moment. And so I'm keeping an eye on these hourly candles. I don't think it will continue much lower. It might, right? Sorry, wrong button there. It might dip a few pips, but otherwise, it's so close to the S2. It's so close to the 61.8 fib. It's not worth to trade. Those few pips, maybe it moves down and have a huge stop loss and just a very small target. That it's just the math doesn't add up here for trading it to the downside. Trading it to the upside, maybe some traders would probably be okay with that. Reversal trades. I am not interested in trading it to the upside right here due to the strong 4-hour candle. That, from a candlestick point of view, all right. So we'll dive into some candlestick analysis here at this moment. I would say it does not look good. That is a bearish candle. It's one where the bears have control. It's one where the bears close very near the low. And I think it's a pretty dominant candle. It's a pretty sizable candle, big volatility in that candle. I don't necessarily see any reversal potential in that candle. Would I want to trade it to the downside? I wouldn't want to do that either, because I still think that price is right at support. So from this point of view, it's just like both sides are not interesting at this point. I need more info, in my view at least. But let's take a look at some other pairs. Maybe something is interesting at this point. Euro dollar did make a pullback to the weekly pivot point. And for those that were looking for a hook back for more downside, you did get some wick here. It's not a great wick. You would really have to be more aggressive type of trader to say, okay, that's a retracement, and I'll take that wick, although it's not much. Not an easy one, especially live, and typically more aggressive reversal traders would be after that type of setup. And I think that many traders, other traders, would just skip it. And I skipped it myself, because although I knew that this could be a hook back for more downside, I was still a little bit on the cautious side with trading it to the downside, because of the fact that all in all, this is looking corrective, and I thought that the space was quite limited, and there was a decent chance, in fact, that the price could break this resistance and make a break to the upside. It's not something I traded, but some traders might have done that, more aggressive traders perhaps. All right, for the moment, I think that, let's see, there are support levels to reckon with around here. So if it pushes through, right, there could be a breakout to the S2, a continuation, but that could be a bouncing spot. So for the moment, I think that, from my perspective, a trade here is not that interesting personally. I think it could be better for a price to hit 122.50 and look for a bounce back to 123.50, which is a new decision zone and a new bounce or break spot. All right, so yeah, that's the thing I'm basically looking for. It's still a bullish bounce or breakout myself, but whether indeed this is a wave 4 and a 5, that still remains to be seen. This is my analysis at the moment. I do think that on average my wave analysis is more right than, or at least relatively on the accurate side. Maybe not exactly, but the general spirit of the analysis. But not always. It doesn't have to be a wave A. I still think it looks like a wave. Sorry, wave 4. I think still looks like a wave 4. But once again, if it does break through this support zone, then something else might be going on. All right, so that's what I'm looking for. Still a bullish bounce at 122.50 or a breakout. Flavius said that he opened the trade, but then closed it because of the 4-hour candle, and indicating that he had kind of the same idea about the pound before I analyzed it here. So we had confluence there, and I think that is indeed a good approach considering that 4-hour candle. Problem is that candlesticks are never ever 100% either. Obviously, sometimes you have strong candles and boom, you have engulfing twins, and there goes that candle. Specifically when price gets into a support zone, when price gets into has already made a long move, right? So then bounces, reversals become a little bit more likely, and that could happen here. That's one of the risks of in a way of maybe waiting. But I personally, I'm not a big reversal trader, so I would rather wait for upside and correction. Um, I just don't want you to. I just want to give you full clarity of my vision that just because there is a bearish candle doesn't mean it doesn't have to move up. That's what I meant. Specifically because it has already fallen quite a decent distance here, and it could happen. There's a strong support zone, right? So price action is on any time frame is not everything. It is a good clue and sometimes important enough to skip trades or to take trades, and that's sometimes a difficult balance. I think that, for instance, in this case, it's probably more conservative to wait indeed, and I think a better approach. But it doesn't mean it cannot bounce to the upside. Dollar yen is that bearishness took me a little bit off guard because I thought there would be a wave 4 and one more wave 5. That didn't happen, in fact. So that caught me a little bit off guard, but that's okay because I was already anyhow. I was in this trade to the upside. The first target got hit and missed my second target by a bit, but the remainder of the trade got taken out for break even, so that's okay. One of the reasons why using trail stop losses are good. I guess one of the reasons why maybe a pretty big wick, and if you look at it was the sixth candle already. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So maybe that's why it failed. It wasn't able to break above the long-term moving average and strong price action candles here, but unable to break this bottom here. So it could still be a wave 1, 2. Now we're seeing pretty strong 4-hour candles. So I think dollar yen is a little bit tricky at this moment, and could be good to see if there's some kind of correction like this. If there is, a break to the upside is starting to become a little bit better, I think. Overall, dollar yen is not an easy currency pair at this moment, I think. It is quite a difficult one because you got strong support zone, then again, price pretty much stuck with resistance close by, here, here, and here. And also, as I said, strong support. So it's really stuck in between that. Difficult. I would probably rather wait for today's candle for at least that to close. Because if it is this bullish, then it could be a bounce indication. And in that case, if we get a bullish candle and we get kind of a hook back like this, that probably would indicate a failure to break this bottom, and there could be a breakout to the upside. But difficult pair at this moment. Anyhow, next one, Aussie. Was about time that it fell. Right, we were talking about that. This is a dramatic upside, and that it really didn't make any type of retracement that it should have. In the meantime, finally at that way up in the daily resistance, it broke through the channel and started to make some bearish momentum here, as you can see. So let me correct the fib here a little bit. There we go. Price not really respecting that fib that much. I was thinking that this could be a bounce spot here, but the bearish price action is so strong at this moment. that ultimately it is looking more bearish now. Really strong momentum. So honestly, I think probably better if it makes some kind of correction like this up into this zone, turns, there could be a with the trend continuation here. All right, Kiwi. Kiwi does not look as bearish as the Aussie. New Zealand is moving lower as well, but Kiwi is facing a lot of resistance and a lot of support. It is a bit tricky spot at this moment. I think that it depends on the breakout this direction. I'll keep an eye on both this resistance and these support levels. So it really depends a little bit on the breakout direction, because if it breaks support, there could be bearishness, bearish trend, and if it breaks to the upside, there could be this. So it really depends on the breakout direction. Yeah, there is some bullish price action here. If this hourly candle closes, there could be some correction here. There is probably divergence at this moment between these bottoms. Ah, 4-hour chart. Okay. Let's see. Hidden divergence. Hidden. Let me think here. Looks like it's converging. Lower low, lower low, lower low, lower low. This could be a good channel to keep an eye on. But it really depends for me how price will respond here. Will it be quick, slow, then more upside is likely. If it's slow, then there could be a bounce at below the S1. Let's take a look. Those are the majors. Now let's take a look at pairs that are interesting, perhaps to trade. If there is anything interesting right at this moment or in the near future, let's find out. I think that I was looking at the market beforehand, and I don't see many that I am jumping for joy on 4-hour chart. I guess, it's all of them seem to, well, not all, but the ones I are analyzing regarding pound and euro crosses at least, right? They seem to be in a bit difficult spot, either because price is strongly showing momentum, first up then down, or because price is just overall in a correction within what seems to be an uptrend, but price is moving lower with no bounce yet in sight. Like the euro odd here, I think all in all, it's a bit tricky spot because price is showing good momentum to the upside, but we would need to see the end of this kind of correction first. So it's a difficult kind of playing field in the case of these currency pairs, I think. So it's never wrong to be, or it doesn't hurt, I think, to be a little bit more cautious when things are kind of not very clear or transitioning in a way, setting themselves up perhaps for a next big move, but not clear which one yet. Pound is something we traded to the downside ourselves. And it had to do with the fact that price had a lower high here, was unable to continue with the uptrend, broke through this support, and there was a good breakout to the downside, and we were expecting kind of this correction like that. So that's something we traded. But also even this setup, it was good upon the breakout, but here, I don't know. Here maybe not so good because price already has reached a minus 272 target, maybe, or close to it. Look, deep fib. What is the target for a deep fib like that? Minus 272 target, right? So it has already hit the target. So those are tricky spots. Will it continue with this momentum, or will there be a bounce? So that's the difficulty of some of these crosses at the moment, because all of them have that similar kind of style. So I don't see any particular setups on these as yet. They could develop maybe soon. Euro odd, for instance, if it finishes kind of a correction like that and then it starts to break above resistance, that could be a bullish breakout. All right. Let's see. Pound New Zealand, although I already traded this, right? If there's a flag on an hourly chart, perhaps like this, right? They could put a fib from here to here, like that. If it moves down and then up and then down and up and hits this 38, and it's making a bear flag, and it breaks that bear flag or it turns, then that could be a continuation setup. And it could be another way of trading it. But is it ready right now? Not in my view, at least. I mean, more aggressive traders might have been trading a bullish bounce at 189.60 because of the minus 272 target, support levels maybe. But that's it's a difficult reversal trade, even though it's at the minus 272 target. Because it's not easy to trade to the upside if price is falling that much. And it's often very risky because it's not easy to pinpoint the bouncing spot that closely and that easily. So these are a little bit not that interesting for me at this moment, at this moment at least, but that could change, of course, depending on what happens. Let's take a look. Let me renew this 1 second. All right. Yeah, let's take a look at the S&P quickly. There are many currency pairs left, but I want to quickly take a look at S&P 500 and Dow Jones because there was a big fall, and you can see that here. Now, not only in percentage terms, but really the candles themselves. And it's still, obviously, of course, even after that correction, it's still relative. Look, when this is the low, but if you put a fib from January 2016 to its recent high, what type of correction is it? It didn't even reach the 38.2 fib yet, didn't it? So, yes, it's been a big correction, relatively, um, compared to other corrections like here and some minor ones here. Those were really nothing. But the main question, I guess, is this the start of a bigger correction or just still a pullback? And I think it's very difficult to answer that. I'm more into Forex trading. I know more about that. Here, it is, I think, more not only technicals, but a little bit more a mixture of fundamentals too, probably in some way or fashion. I mean, could this be a wave 5, and could this be a sturdy pullback within wave 4? It's possible. But typically wave fours don't fall that quickly. So I mean, if I would look at this as a Forex chart, I would definitely consider this to be a pullback for more downside. With stock indices, I'm really not that sure, and I would probably rather keep an eye on price action. But definitely after such a grand fall, it would be interesting to see how price responds to this fib. There we go. 38, 50, 61.8 fib. Specifically here, there's a interesting little sideways zone here. And if it makes an ABC, it will be interesting to see how it responds there and whether it can indeed make a new downside. Alrighty, so yeah, that's going to be interesting. I think to see how price responds there. Let's take a quick look. Also, oil made strong downside. No, it's not oil. Sorry, it's DAX. Sorry. Strong fall too. Take a look at Dow Jones. And in a way, the same thing. I mean, if this would once again be a Forex chart, I would see 5 waves in that. I would expect ABC and more downside. But this being the stock market, I think that it's less kind of technical, maybe, and therefore a little bit more careful with that analysis. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if this is the start of more downside. But I've seen also these pullbacks easily turn into pullbacks for more upside. So that's why I'm a bit cautious. But such a momentum finally hitting the market after a long bull run and divergence, to me, wouldn't be surprised if there's some correction and at least one more push lower. But we'll find out soon enough, I guess. All right, gold is trying to break below this support trend line, and there could be a breakout to the downside. Still expecting that this could be an A, B, C, and then up. For that to happen, price would need to break below last week's lows, last 3 weeks. There could be a breakout to the previous top. Then if it breaks that, to the trend line. If it breaks that, to the bottom here. Step by step. And otherwise, let's take. Do you have any particular preference for anything? Please let me know. Otherwise, otherwise, let me take a look at some of these other pairs here. Oh, let's take a look at some of these CFDs. They must have taken some beating, I would assume. Amazon, not even that much. Facebook, a little bit. Facebook is really, oh, wrong trend line there, sorry. Here we go. Riding this kind of trend channel here for the moment. That would be an interesting zone because it's right at it at this moment. But I would still be careful with the upside considering the stocking indices at this moment. So I think that better be careful for the moment considering that bearish momentum at least. New Zealand, last currency pair that I guess for the moment is I broke an important level here. This supports trend line. This supports horizontal level. There we go. As you can see, didn't get much bounce. It was strong momentum to the downside, and eventually that momentum was too strong to hold. Support couldn't hold it. And I guess the next step is how price will respond here, because the Keltner channel is a great channel, and if price breaks above it, there's a good chance of a breakout. If it doesn't, there could be a bounce. So it's a great indicator, and it's part of the MetaTrader Supreme Edition, and you can download it for free. It is a special plugin developed by Admiral Markets, only by Admiral Markets, so you'll only find it there. And or of course you can find a Keltner channel somewhere else, but it is part of this package. And if it will be interesting to see how it closes here. If it's closed like this, it doesn't look like a bearish breakout. But if it does close lower, there could be a follow through of this odd New Zealand. That doesn't necessarily have to be a trade that I will take, but it could be good to know to trade Aussie weakness rather than maybe New Zealand weakness, for instance. Oh yeah, and last but not least, CAD yen. I always take a look at that one too, typically. And CAD yen is, let's see, there we go. Yeah, it made a good upside, but it was only a correction. I thought that correction would go a little bit deeper, to be honest, but it didn't. And it's falling, in fact, one more time. So that is, as I said, it surprised me a little bit because I thought that this could still be one more upside to retest yet again. Now it is looking much more like a breakout, in fact. So we have to see how price, if it does pull back here, how it's going to respond at this resistance level, at S1 and the weekly trend line. Because if it bounces there, it could still be a follow through for one more downside. Whereas if it breaks above the S1, of course, then pullback continuation seems more likely. All right, so let me wrap it up because, yeah, at this moment, I see a mixture of candles, I see a mixture of setups, and I don't have anything that I am really interested right now. In general, though, candlesticks do help in many situations when looking at breakouts, for instance. If you're looking for instance, a breakout of this trend line, right? How can candlesticks in general help? Well, for instance, this candle, right? Pretty bearish candle closing a low, and the candle is breaking through the trend line. It's a decent sized candle when compared to the previous candles. So that's how candlesticks can help because it indicates a breakout, and we got a good breakout. It could also indicate a bounce. For instance, here, let's take a look at a different pair, or maybe here, right? Well, let me take a look at a different one. Pound out, for instance, right? Struggling candles here at the 78.6 fib, wicks, for instance. So this bearish candle, dangerous, but perhaps a reversal. Or this one, breaking through the support. Those are all potential reversal trades. But there could be other ways of trading bounces, right? Here, for instance, we had a fractal at support. So a couple of candles not breaking the low could also be a way of trading a bounce and a reversal. So candlesticks give a lot of info about bounce and breakouts. They give a lot of info about candlestick patterns. They get a little info. They give a lot of info with regard to direction. A bullish candle on the weekly chart could be already good info about the trend. So yeah, very good info with regard to breakouts and reversals and momentum direction. And also, generally speaking, will support and resistance levels hold or will they break? It's not only about how strong the support and resistance is, it is about how bearish price action is as well. Because look at the pound New Zealand, for instance, here where we had, one second. Right? So I took this breakout. All right, and I exited, I think it was on this candle. All right, so yeah, I caught a pretty good, I don't know, 120 pips there. Now I did continue lower, but I still thought it was worth the exit. Of course, would have been nice to stay in, but you can see that at least price action helps. I mean, if you had more, maybe a bit more patience, it was more like a doji here, this candle, and more indecision, and we did have good bearish candles. So maybe a follow through, not that strange. So you can see that we can use it in a lot of different ways. We have a breakout candle here, but the next candles show continuation of bearishness, and those few bullish candles are not that dangerous. Small candles, inside candles, right? So managed to grab this trade based on that. Not only on the breakout, but the continuation and the management of the trade as well. Here, for instance, I remember that I was looking at this upside and saying, okay, I need a good breakout here, otherwise would you be interested? And look, we got very good breakout candle right here, right there, and boom, good continuation. So candles give a lot of info about that. We'll be diving into that tomorrow in more detail. For the moment, I'll leave it at that. I don't see a ton of trades at this moment, unfortunately. I guess that sometimes happens, not from a swing perspective. Maybe, as I said, pound dollar, dollar yen, euro dollar. Sure, I always keep an eye on those. So it depends a little bit on how they move. Same for Aussie and Kiwi are pairs that I always keep an eye on. But specifically, euro odd, euro New Zealand, pound odd, pound New Zealand, pound yen, euro yen. These crosses seem a little bit difficult at this moment. But who knows? Maybe tomorrow things are looking easy or more clear, I should say. And we'll do new webinars with new analysis. All right, last look at gold for Angel, and then we'll wrap it up. And gold still struggling with these highs. And last week was a bearish candle, in fact. And on the daily chart, it seems like it's breaking through support. So if it does post a candle like this, we might see a continuation down to this support zone, Keltner S3 previous tops, which could be a bounce spot. And if it then continues with the trend, the next target could be this trend line. In the long run, there could be a move down, up, down, towards this bottom, for instance, right here. I know it's a long target, down, then up. I don't know if it's going to get there. For the moment, price is finally bouncing at these resistance lines that we were anticipating that could cause a bounce. And price finally does seem to be reacting to that, at least a little bit. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a little bit more follow through. But each of these support levels, of course, could send it back up. Ultimately, though, I would like it to fall here and then start a big kind of bullish push up. On the hourly chart, I think this is looking like pretty good momentum. So any flag would be good, I think, for follow through to the downside, by the way. Yeah, Angel says me too. He's, I think, looking forward to the bigger bounce, the upside. So yeah, let's see if we get that and when. Not sure. That could take a while, I guess, but we'll keep it up to date. Of course, more webinars right here at Education Forex and CFD webinar. Sorry, with Admiral Markets. Nana takes a look at his live trading session on Wednesday. I have again price action, more from a strategy point of view. Thursday, by the way, we take a look at fractals. Very important fractals in my trading, at least. So definitely worth it, I think, to take a look. And of course, each morning we have real-time daily trading ideas, 10 a.m. GMT time. So hope to see you in these webinars and good trading. Cheers.